Welcome to Frog Talk, an Auction Frogs podcast series all about events and fundraising in a post-2020 world. For more information on Auction Frogs and the services we offer, visit auctionfrogs.org today.
Hi, this is Corey Michaels. Welcome to another edition of Frog Talk, your leap into fundraising. Today, once again, we get to share another great company that is out there helping nonprofits, helping our communities. And, you know, what we do a lot here on Frog Talk is, you know, yes, we'll talk about services and things that we have for your nonprofit. We'll talk about tips and tricks and things like that. But it's also exciting to find out about new companies to us, new companies that are out there that are really focused on making a difference, because it takes a village, the old saying. And so the more wonderful companies with the right generosity and giving hearts, that the more of those that can come together, the better we can do. And that's why I'm honored to introduce Brian Epperson with TargetRiver.com. Brian, how are you, buddy?
Corey, how are you? Thank you so much for having me on the show today. It's exciting to chat with you and the listeners of Frog Talk.
Well, thank you, buddy. Why don't we start with, what is TargetRiver.com?
So Target River is a full-service marketing agency. So in traditional speak, that means we help clients with everything from traditional tactics like radio, television, out-of-home, direct mail. But then we do a lot of contemporary tactics as well, such as elements on Facebook, LinkedIn, Google, and other forms of digital tactics.
How long has the company been around, and what was your vision when you started this?
So we launched just over 5 years ago on April Fool's Day of 2016. So not intentional that it would be a fool's joke, but that's just how it worked out with our planning. But the vision was to take a bit different approach than what we saw from a lot of the traditional agencies out of there, including ones that I'd been a part of or previously launched myself. And our goal was to really help individual organizations, whether they were a for-profit or nonprofit group, to be able to effectively identify who their target audiences are, how they should reach them with the most cost-efficient tactics, and then most importantly, what message should be delivered to those individuals to elicit a response and engagement, be that a site visit, a store visit, a donation, or a registration to an event, or some other action that the organization is looking to have happen. And that was our goal and what we wanted to create. And 5 years later, we've done a pretty good job of that, we feel.
Well, now, Brian, so if I'm a nonprofit, say I'm a brand new nonprofit, been just working my fingers to the bone because there are no money yet. We have barely a donor base, starting off. We have a whole lot of passion, and we know what we're trying to achieve, but I'm barely hanging on as an executive director of this new nonprofit and trying to do the day-to-day things. I have no idea about radio and TV and advertising and social media and all this, and so I go to TargetRiver.com. And where do I go from there, and where would the journey start?
Well, one of the interesting things that we find for nonprofits, and these are whether they're newly established or have been in operation for 10, 20, or even 30 years, is they often don't realize all of the tools that are available, sometimes at no cost to little cost, to help in their operations. And so a key thing that we always encourage nonprofits to really focus and consider is which individuals are most likely going to support their mission, their vision, and give of their time, talent, and treasure to help them in their cause that they're working on. And we can get excited and say, we are, for instance, I serve on the board of a military nonprofit who serves junior enlisted individuals and recent veterans who have financial crises in their home. And so, of course, there's part of our target audience to ensure that those that are in need know that we even exist to be able to help them. But then we as an organization needed to figure out who would be willing to support our cause and mission to help these young enlisted personnel when they might be getting ready to be evicted or losing their car, need food, sadly, many cases, or diapers for their infants and other things. So we had to look at who might support us, whether that was prior veterans themselves, maybe senior active duty, but who else in the community might be willing to jump on board and help us in this cause. And so I encourage any nonprofit to really spend a quality time deep diving into who those people are. And you might find yourself identifying not just a few, but 7, 8, 9, even 10 different types of people that would be willing to support you. So it's a great exercise, because then from there you can start to look to say, what are going to be the most efficient ways to reach people? It might be through email, utilizing a tool like MailChimp or Constant Contact, which has little to no cost other than your labor to load the email addresses in there and then to launch them. And it might be utilizing tools such as social media platforms with LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, where you organically grow your audience and start to engage and follow other people and other groups out there that have a similar passion or interest to what your nonprofit is trying to achieve. But Corey, one of the interesting things that we have found that many nonprofits are not aware of is a program available through Google called a Google Grant. And Google has done a great job of making this program available out there where nonprofits, 501c3s, can apply, and if they're successfully awarded it, can receive up to $10,000 a month worth of free Google search advertising for their nonprofit.
That's the thing is, we don't know what we don't know. So if you don't know it exists, you don't know how to take advantage of what is out there, as Brian said, with little to no cost to your nonprofit, but are going to be able to help you exponentially in your fundraising and your donor retention and all of that.
Exactly. And what's neat about the Google Grant is what it allows an organization, a nonprofit, to do is once they are awarded the grant, that's actually the easier part of the two parts of putting it together, we have found. The second key part is pairing that up with what is called a Google Ad account, where you actually create all of the different types of Google search ads that you would want Google to run on your behalf, so that if people are using their smartphone, their laptop, their desktop, and they're doing a search, they might have the opportunity to see an ad from your nonprofit. And when they click on that, typically that incurs a cost that would be paid by the organization. And it could be $3, $5. There's some industries where a single click on a Google ad can be $50 or $100.
Oof.
Whatever that cost is,
right,
Google covers for the nonprofit. So a nonprofit is able to do kind of two key things, two broad things, and there's many other elements under it, but be able to promote their services to those that need them. So another nonprofit I serve on is an organization that's on the front lines for sexual assault survivors. So our goal is twofold: to ensure those that have been victimized have the ability to get crisis counseling, emergency support, even that same day of the incident in the hospital, free legal counseling, and many other things. So we want to ensure anybody that is a survivor gets the help they need. We also want to ensure that we're growing our preventative education so that we can reduce the likelihood that these types of incidents will occur. So that's one of our audiences. Then the other, of course, is those who might be passionate about the mission and vision that we have to help eradicate the world of this heinous crime. So within Google, we could have advertising that's promoted to ensure that if someone is looking for us, they can find us if they have that need, or they want to support a cause like ours, they can find out about us and find ways to support it. And that's where the beauty is of the different types of messaging that you can create. So then when people are using the Google search platform, which is by far the largest and most widely used in the world, they can find your organization, click to learn more, and then engage in whatever way they desire.
Well, there's a lot more, Brian. We could go on for an hour, two, or more, and still not hit all the components of what is out there with Target River and just like with the Google Ads, the Google Grants, and being able to optimize those search for your nonprofit. But there is so much more than that. And Brian, people just start with going to targetriver.com and making that connection?
Yes, and we on our solution page, we actually have a dedicated page to the Google Grant. We call it Target Grant, and it explains what the journey and the process is, and then the key things to ensure that you're maximizing it. We've often found that nonprofits might have the grant, might even be running ads, but they're only maximizing maybe $1,000 to $1,500 worth of the available $10,000 per month. And so we can help a nonprofit not only acquire or be approved for the grant, not only create the ads, but also to optimize them to ensure that they're leveraging all of the available money that Google puts out there for them. So happy to share and help because, as you said, it does truly take a village to help all of our causes that we're out there doing.
Well, Brian, I applaud what you're doing with Target River. I suggest for any nonprofits listening right now to go check it out and see what it can do for you and your organization. TargetRiver.com. All of the information in the description here of Frog Talk for our episode today. And Brian, I thank you so much for being on with us.
Of course, Corey. Thank you for having me, and thanks to all the listeners. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Frog Talk, an Auction Frogs podcast series all about events and fundraising in a post-2020 world. For more information on Auction Frogs and the services we offer, visit auctionfrogs.org today.